Alright everybody, we know the drill. CHROMAKOPIA is out, so this is my third listen. And I'm going to tell you my definitive view on CHROMAKOPIA. Where does it stack in the long list of incredible Tyler the Creator albums? Is this as much of a masterpiece as Eagle? I love this track in the early promo. I think it was so perfect for the whole motif and the announcement with the marching figures. I love the whole aesthetic that Tyler went for, and then as the beat drops and the container explodes, the shipping container, and the color just comes rushing into the frame, I think it gave me like Cherry Bomb vibes, mixed with bits of like Flower Boy and Eagle. It's such a cool opening track. One of my big early impressions of CHROMAKOPIA on the few listens I've had is that Tyler really varies his vocal cadence way more than he ever has before. We go from the full hushed whisper to singing later in the album, to shouting, standard straightforward rapping. Okay. Yeah. That hits.
CHROMAKOPIA.
The production is so on point. I'm just glad. I'm glad I'm waiting and giving this another proper listen.
It's just a box with a lighter thunder.
Because on my shitty headphones when I was going for a walk last night, this part was not quite hitting. The bass wasn't there. But with my proper setup here, first dash of gospel in the album here as well.
She ain't never met no one who talk
and that transition into Ratata track 2, I think that's probably the best transition Tyler has ever done in his music up to now. And arguably it's not even the best transition on this album, which says a lot about how much thought Tyler's put into the production of the whole LP. Ratata is one of my favourites on the album on first listen. It's just got that kind of high energy, like Playboy Carti, 21 Savage beat, and it's just what I want to hear at the start of a rap album to kind of get me in the mood.
I swim good, I'm Pisces. Hey T, why you
I love the little Pisces reference from Tyler. I swim good on Pisces. That is of course his star sign. Staple of hip hop. Kendrick Lamar's always saying like I'm an old school Gemini. There's layers that you can peel back from all of Tyler's career as a musician. It's like if you watch the Sorry Not Sorry video, you see those different eras, and each of them has in a way contributed to this album, I think.
Paranoid now because niggas weird and really bummed. I'm paranoid.
I have the biggest confession to make about Noid, and it occurred to me last night, and it was such a like doi moment. Noid is short for paranoid. Literally took me 2 weeks to realise that. I feel embarrassed now. What I do know, since listening to Noid for the first time on my previous channel reaction, is that this sample we're hearing is the Zambian language called Chewa, and the lyric translates to, I don't want trouble and I don't want to talk a lot, don't bring gossip in my house. So thank you to the commenters here in Bayway 85th for the clarification there. I think someone else highlighted in the comments that it's a Zambian band. Yeah, a Zambian rock band from the 70s. It's called Nizaku Panga Nguzu by the Ngozi family and Paul Ngozi. One thing I do want to talk about in this video, which you guys can obviously throw your hat into the ring on in the comments, has the album rollout for Tyler here just been a little bit too rushed? Not in the sense of a lack of preparation, but just the window of time that we've got to kind of get used to the Saint Chroma era and then have a whole album thrown at us. It's so short. Like, I feel like Eagle, Flower Boy especially, and obviously Call Me If You Get Lost, we had a lot of time to connect with each of those characters and the themes on the album with various music videos and the run up to the album drop. But given that it's only a 2 week or so gap between Saint Chroma announcement, Noid, and then the whole album coming out, I feel like I'm playing catch up trying to wrap my head around what the themes and motifs of this album are, because it's very much not just paranoia and wearing a mask to hide from people. This album goes on to talk about pregnancy scares, relationships, kind of a lot of rap records have almost characterized it as an early midlife crisis album. A lot of publications are calling it, but it's not a kind of laser focused concept album in the same way that Eagle was. One thing I will say, playing devil's advocate with the rushed rollout, it's really nice going into an album and only knowing one song in its entirety. Literally, like a lot of albums recently, even ones I've loved, like Fontaine's DC's album Romance, I go into the album and I already know 4 songs completely, and you kind of You're sitting here listening to a new album the day it comes out and you're like, well, I already know like a third of it at least. This song has been earmarked by a lot of people as a highlight already. It's called Darling I. I've definitely seen some comments on Reddit that say they think this will be the song from this album. It's a very different vibe from Tyler, and I think of all his albums, this is the one that sees him enter new musical territory the most. Maybe since Flower Boy, which I think was a big kind of landmark in his more mature sound and style. What I'm really appreciating doing this right now, where I'm fully focused on the album, I'm not thinking about Twitch chat, I'm not thinking about talking to a guest, or even walking around the neighborhood. I'm just sitting here listening to this album. The little bits, like the vocal calls in the production, the percussion through this album is so strong. Doing these kind of locked in listenings where I'm just here to react to it and appreciate like every side of the song. CHROMAKOPIA is an album that clearly rewards repeat listens and focused listening, not just that kind of passive, interestingly passive listening that Tyler was saying was more common over the weekend, which is part of why he was complaining about Friday now being the day for new music. You may have seen Tyler has been pushing for Tuesday to return as the day for new music. Obviously this album came out on a Monday. What I'll say on this track, and I think some others on CHROMAKOPIA, when I was listening for the first time, obviously they hide the features on Spotify on the first week for rap albums. Some of the features were really hard for me to hear. Like I didn't even realize that Childish Gambino was on this album on first listen until someone told me in chat, because I thought the ending of I Killed You was really subtle. I didn't even realize he was on Judge Judy, and I listened to that yesterday. I think the exception is obviously Glorilla, Lil Wayne, and Sexy Red. Like, those are really obvious features. Don't Cheese is as well, but Tizo touchdown here, I'm like,
transparency is key.
I could probably miss this feature. Is it just me being stupid? Please feel free to tell me if I'm being stupid, chat. Anyway, this is track 5, Hey Jane.
Jane, we got the news and I know what to do.
My mum's called Jane, so shout out my mum. I think if you're looking at the concept of this album, this is one of the tracks that is particularly interesting to focus on and analyze. He's talking about a relationship with a particular woman and the pregnancy scare that they experience. It's titled after the abortion-related healthcare company, Hey Jane. So I didn't know that. That's a bit of American politics for you. And it's a conversation between Tyler and an anonymous older woman in the wake of an unplanned pregnancy. Yeah.
Disappointed in me, this ain't like me.
And I know there are references in the lyrics to her being in her mid-30s. It's told from kind of two different perspectives, written in that like dual way, like Eminem's Stand, for example.
Sanitize it. It's my fault. The results are justified. I fucked up. I'm stressed out. I'm dead inside.
This does feel like a much more kind of at ease and pensive Tyler than what we saw on Igor, which is my favorite album by him, where there's this full-blown kind of chaotic, like, fuck that bitch, I'm gonna get her out of the picture, I'm gonna get this guy, she's coming between us.
Just not yet.
And when you have such a kind of emotionally charged album, it's really easy straight away for that to grab you and pull you into its universe. I think that's one of the big strengths of Igor. Like, she gonna be dead, as get a magic wand. It's like the subtlety's not there, but sometimes subtlety is a bit of a shield, a mask, if you will, that makes a piece of art harder to really delve deep into. And I think this album, it's not as accessible instantly as Igor, and probably as well Call Me When You Get Lost, because it's got more hidden concepts, it's got more intricate narratives woven into each song.
I'm 35 and my ovaries might not reset.
There's that line, I'm 35 and my ovaries might not reset. Like, this is something, can you imagine the Tyler the Creator of like Wolf era or Goblin era saying a song like that, reflecting on women, you know, getting older, getting towards the menopause? It's crazy. But this is obviously an artist who has grown up in the limelight, on the stage, and his lyrics thankfully have grown with him. Right, now this starts I Killed You. I love this. I remember when this came on last night when I was listening.
I gotta work, I gotta eat.
Just that little skit, they go round and round. It's almost like a nursery rhyme with production dialed up to 100. It's such a cool segue. It fits into the kind of theme of being in that fatherhood role, thinking about having a kid at the end of Hey Jane. And it's like rich and light sounds that, again, are kind of new territory for Tyler. This is a very eclectic album. And there's almost a Latin feel on the beat. Lyrically, I feel here, Aunties, Mothers, Sisters, I Killed You. Feels like a continuation of Sorry Not Sorry, where Tyler is kind of very authentically, genuinely saying sorry to some people he feels he wronged in his younger years, as well as sarcastically to some paparazzi, for example. Sorry, you're got to dig for info I don't want to give. Oh, that little flute there, it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous. This is an album that makes me want to buy better headphones, honestly. These ones are fine, but the ones that I walk around with when I'm listening to music on the go, I need to charge my Bluetooth so I get to appreciate this in its full mate. Again, transition. This is an album where it feels so continuous. Like, we are halfway through now and this has flown by for me. When I had my phone in my pocket and I was listening on my walk last night, I was barely even noticing where one track ended and another started. Like, it took me a while to just clock it and then get on my phone and check because of how seamless it fits together, how seamlessly so many songs flow from one into another. This is the first kind of freaky track, Judge Judy. I love how it lulls from one side to another. It's quite playful, and again, Tyler's experimenting with rhythms and flows and kind of musical differentiations that I don't think he has on his albums previously. So this feels like a very full to the brim album with different styles and beats.
End up at my home, we dance around and make some sweets. We started swapping spitting.
Subtle little arpeggio in the background there, so sweet. I Killed You and Judge Judy. These are tracks that feature Childish Gambino. I'm really struggling to hear the parts where Gambino is. Maybe it's just me being stupid again, and please let me know if it's me being stupid, but I wouldn't know unless someone told me. And it's not like I don't actually know Gambino that well in the way that I don't know Tizo Touchdown that well. Like, I listened to Bando Stone earlier this year and I've enjoyed a lot of Gambino's work before. Like, I've listened to Redbone.
If you're reading is too late, I'm on the other side, but I just
it's the variation with his voice again here, the key that he's singing in. It's something that I feel like Tyler's really worked on and pushed himself on this album. And we haven't even got to Like Him yet, which is the big moment where he's just fully singing. It is so comforting and nostalgic when you just get dashes of old school Tyler, just his little quirks in production that you're so used to picking out, like those little keyboard arpeggios in the background that go on scales and rise there. And now we do get to what I feel is a turning point in an album with Sticky. Now, this is a track that features Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne. I'm gonna be honest. The first two times I listened to this track, I felt that it was Tyler the Creator's hot shower moment. And I love Chance the Rapper. I love him, right? But
Who the fuck you talking to?
I don't think I need to explain that reference to you guys. I'm going to really try and engage with it here and see if I have a different opinion this third time round.
Sticky, sticky, bitches getting sticky, sticky, sticky.
see, I'm a West Side nigga from the zone. Knock, 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 knocking at the door. I keep them links on hit.
I just don't really... I'm not a music critic and I hate being critical, but I don't really like those knocks. This all just feels a bit like a whole skit as a song, and I'm like, there's a weird absence of bass. Like, we're a minute into the song, and there's just nothing on the bass end. Just this weird repeating whistle.
Lit ass bitch, step pop.
And even now that the beat and the drums kick in, I guess it's got a bit of a like Brazilian samba vibe. But like, where's the bass? Where is the bass? There's nothing. Maybe there's a little bit. It feels weirdly like Kanye West Donda to me as well. It feels like it really diverts from the rhythm of the album. This is the part, track 8, where the trajectory of the album goes from a fairly steady progression to like this, up, down, which is fine. Even in the Wikipedia article it says, as we hear Sexy Red's part, Critics even noted its messy and confusing nature as a positive. The messiness in this situation, on this track, I wouldn't list it as a strength. It just feels like it takes me out a little bit, this track, and 2 minutes in, I'm waiting for an anchor that pulls me into the track, and it just keeps kind of, it keeps reforming and reshaping itself before I can even get into the rhythm of the first beat. The whistle will just feel a bit repetitive to me as well. You know, I'm not a Sexy Red hater. I'm not someone who's going to be, you know, tweeting hate at Anthony Fantano because he rated her album more highly than Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or whatever, but this does feel more like something you would hear on one of her albums than this album, which is totally fine. It just does feel, to me, in my opinion, a little out of place here on Chromacopia. Anyway, track 9, Take Your Mask Off.
Gang that, don't let them know that you regret how you became that. A good kid.
In the midst of my tirade against Sticky, I didn't even get to say that it does sample Get Up Off of That Thing, which I love, the James Brown track. It's in Muppets in Space, which is a fantastic piece of cinema. We're not quite full back on the peak of this album with Take Your Mask Off, but we're kind of back on form at least. I do like this track, and at least with that name, it does feel symbolic to me. Obviously, he's wearing a mask in the artwork, and you have a track, Take Your Mask Off, you think it's almost like the Are We Still Friends moment of Eagle, or Going, Going, Gone, the point where there's a bit of a change in the persona, the lead voice's attitude. I think comparisons and parallels between this album and Mr. Morale are probably fair as well. That is also a dense album with a lot of self-conscious art from Kendrick. And Tyler does reference Kendrick on this album, so it's fairly sound reasoning to kind of draw a parallel there and think that maybe there's an influence.
Dog, how dare you try to ruin her marriage? Claim you never won.
I'm appreciating the jazziness of this album for the first time when I'm really focusing on the instrumentals. It feels semi-improvised in places and like you're sitting in some New York bar on a candlelit evening.
You wish you got your flowers sent. You eat and fertilizer the balance shit.
Stream Soul by Pixar on Disney+. Now, I feel tracks 8 and 9 on this album, Sticky, Take Your Mask Off, are a little bit of a detour. If you imagine the album, metaphorically, as a journey, and Tomorrow, this track, is the one that anchors me right back on the road and picks up back on kind of the peak quality that I personally have felt the album has brought so far. It's called Tomorrow. So delicate and beautiful. Really nicely plucked guitar in the background. It's very kind of R&B, 2000s R&B.
Yeah, my brody had another baby, that's like number 2. My homegirl and I tired, she like 32.
Yeah, talking about having a baby here again, or a friend having a baby, and more the being in your 30s. Look, I'm 29, I relate to it.
I'm too paranoid, so I'm
a lot of my friends are getting married. It's so pretty. The lounge vibe comes through a bit. Alright. The military theme comes back again here. Is this like Carnival if it was good? What is that? This again. This is the album at its peak, like all these different layers, all these different textures, like threads in a tapestry coming together to make something beautiful. They could so easily crowd each other out, make something too chaotic, too distracting, but they all harmonize so brilliantly. Tyler is a genius. We do have a Schoolboy Q feature on this as well.
Out here. Nigga rose out of right trying to program. I was really outside with the dope man.
That sounds like an orchestra deflating. I think this could easily become the hit from the album, actually. This could easily become the hit. This is giving me a lot of that dance energy. It makes you want to move.
There's 1 million and a nigga hit 30, bitch, you ain't Coco Golf, you can't serve me. Anti-what? Yeah, right. These niggas thought I was dead.
Oh, that...
Damn, nigga. Every time I look at you, I swear.
This ending to the album might be the peak. Just that detuned, out of tune orchestra, like deflating sound into this beautiful piano, spoken word.
She said that I make express.
And I will admit, when I first heard this, I was like, wait, Frank? just for a little sec. Sadly, there is no Frank Ocean on this album. Dry your tears. But Tyler singing here in falsetto, this is breaking new territory. It's so tender, it's so beautiful. This is like him.
My ways and my posture.
And I love how this piano is recorded. It sounds like an upright piano, not an electric one that's been recorded ambiently in the room. So you get a tiny bit of that room noise and the real full cadence of the sound.
I don't know who he is.
And that build up and the electric guitar is genius. Suddenly it's getting like classic rock, psychedelic. Very like Prince almost. I feel like that synth, that drum beat in the background and the guitar are from 3 different genres entirely, and Tyler's just put them together on a beat, sung over it, and who else could do that but him? And then the whole synth organ. Wow. Just this song itself is an absolute triumph. It's almost like an encapsulation of the whole record and how ambitious it is, but how much Tyler pulls it off. You go from Like Him into Balloon, and I love that just kind of playful, almost like preschool kids TV show vibe comes back here with the start of this song. These are sounds that we've never heard from Tyler before, and I kind of love them. I kind of love them, for real.
Yeah, we ain't talking to your dumb ass. You could be a millionaire and still be a bum ass boy. I've been in a dream, I've been on a tick. Okay, look.
The only sample I can see is the excerpt from I Wanna Rock. It just re-energizes the listener. You're kind of reaching the finish line and you get that second wind. It's kind of brilliantly done, whether that's intentional or not. Yeah, that Don't Stop is an awesome sample. Great sample.
I scared this bitch.
Where the swamp is. Flyest bitch up in the room, I need a cocktail.
Really like this feature from Doechii. I had some people in my chat grouping it in with the Sexy Red energy that was brought to Sticky, but I think it's very different, and I think this track as a whole works great for me.
Don't stop.
Almost reminds me a bit of Gorillaz here. You could easily picture Damon Albarn singing over that. It's just like a light bulb has dinged in my head, but it's got a Gorillaz vibe to it, this track, and I think that's why I like it. You could kind of picture it on Plastic Beach or Cracker Island. There's a touch of Damon Albarn's godlike genius here.
Don't stop.
Imagine Tyler the Creator on a Gorillaz record. That's something we need to see before we die, right? And here we come to the final track. I hope you find your way home. CHROMAKOPIA. I know there is the bonus track Mother, but I won't be listening to that this time. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that in a separate video. There's old school Tyler growl. It does feel a little bit like Are We Still Friends as well, to close off the album.
I'm slipping, I need a hand. Can you squeeze the man? My shit's spinning like a ceiling fan.
Just layers again, layers upon layers upon layers. I want to see the logic file of these songs just to see how many tracks we're dealing with.
You niggas is jabronis, I'm from the city where they ran.
Why is that suddenly giving me GTA San Andreas music?
Bitch sued for a meal, trying to work me. Settled at a mill, cause that million couldn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me, now it ain't hurt shit. Sent the motherfucking wire.
Definitely feels like a sense of absolution.
A black bitch on a plane by myself, I ain't packed shit.
A newfound self-understanding on Tyler here. Is this his therapy album?
I'm that nigga and I'm that bitch.
The therapist from Wolf would be so proud. Look at how far he's come from Troncat. So there you go. Tyler the Creator, CHROMAKOPIA. My first proper sit-down listen, my third overall. Well, what do I think about this album? It really is the most mature, ambitious, and sonically rich tapestry of work that Tyler has ever put together. What's beautiful is how much you can follow his journey and see the DNA from the earliest evolutions of Tyler on this album, that everything is just polished to the shiniest state. There's a lot more emotional well-being in the way that Tyler raps, the way that he sings and speaks about himself as well as other people. And I think there's more genres and more richness to this album than I've ever heard from a Tyler record before. It might not be as focused conceptually or as instantly attention grabbing as Igor, but it is still very worthy of the mantle masterpiece. I do think there are slight diversions, maybe. Tracks 8 and 9 for me do slightly pivot from what I felt the continuity of the album was going to be. And from when we heard the first of Saint Chroma and Noid, I think we were all expecting a very rocky, like I say, a Death Camp Cherry Bomb sounding album. And that's not what we got, but that is fine. This is just another great work from Tyler. And I saw a tweet earlier today, which I think sums up how I feel about this album. And it basically goes along the lines of, can you think of another artist than Tyler, the Creator, who has had this run of 5 albums? Like Flower Boy, Igor, Call Me If You Get Lost. I mean, I don't count the estate sale, but CHROMAKOPIA. So the last 4. And I think it's actually really hard to. I don't think there's another artist out there that has pulled off something this consistently innovative and exciting and generally good. Never mind in the world of hip hop, just in the world of music over the past 4 albums or 4 albums. And even you think of like artists who've dropped this year, like Billie Eilish. Billie's only on her 3rd album, so that's the kind of the level that Tyler's on here. He's managed to maintain this really high, interesting, experimental, innovative level for the best part of the last, like 7-8 years now. So yeah, this is an absolute joy. As a Tyler fan, I don't normally rate albums, and I'm not a music critic. I'm a radio DJ who likes talking about music that he enjoys. That is the case with this album, but I do feel that this is one of those albums that I kind of, it's almost like a textbook 9 out of 10 in my opinion. It's like definitely within the outstanding category. I wouldn't call it perfect, but it's in that bracket, and that is anything but a criticism. I think it is a very, very good album, and having properly sat down with it now, even with the rushed release schedule, I think it's very easy to say that it's not a disappointment, that Tyler really, he bit off a lot. He bit off a lot with this album, but it was anything but more than he can chew. He smashed it. This is CHROMAKOPIA, and I'm Tim Senna, the Zane Love Twitch. If you want to catch more takes like this, catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tim Senna. I'm live most evenings at 7 p.m. UK time, and let me know in the comments what your highlights and lowlights of CHROMAKOPIA are, and if you agree or totally disagree with anything I have said. Big, big love, and I'll catch you in the next video.